So during the Depression, I mean, did you remember being poor, or
Oh yes.
was your dad out of work too during that time?
Very definitely. At times, yes. And I was a boy in the early 30s, old enough to do some work myself, and I picked cotton and I chopped cotton, and I did a number of jobs like that, you know. Yes, everyone that was old enough to remember it will always have that in their minds. You always remember that.
Did your parents own their house at this time?
No, they did not.
They were renting a house from somebody?
Right.
What about you, Mom? You were a little younger.
Yeah, all I can remember is my mom and dad talking about it.
Yeah.
But I was way back when. That was in 31?
Well, it started in 1929.
Okay, so I was only born in 1925. So.
Right.
But that lasted several years, didn't it? Because I remember my dad going to work for the REA when they established the REA.
Well, they didn't start that till
When?
late 30s, I guess it was, or the early 40s.
Yeah, we weren't rich.
Yeah. One of Roosevelt's programs, I think. It was really World War II that pulled us out of the Depression, essentially.
Yeah.
I guess some people think that we were heading out of it already, but it was a kicker that got us out of it and got a lot of people back to work. Kind of a weird way to go.
Yeah, it was.
So, about the time, I wanted to ask you this too. In the late 30s, I guess Hitler started becoming really active towards the late 30s, and you remember what kind of press there was about his moving in Europe and what was happening over there at that time?
Well, I was old enough then, of course, to realize that he was becoming a threat to eventually it would be to the world if something wasn't done. And yes, we were pretty well aware of what was going on, and the news, of course, was making headlines in the papers.
Well, you were 20 years old in 1938.
Yes.
When did you join the Army?
In June of 1939. 28th day of June, 1939.
And where did you do boot camp?
At Fort Sam Houston, Texas. San Antonio, Texas.
That wasn't too far from there.
No, it was about 60 miles from Kennedy.
And then, now, you were in the Army. You met Mom before you went, and married before you went overseas, right?
Yes.
So how did all of that happen?
Well, I was stationed in the 2nd Infantry Division, 12th Field Artillery at Fort Sam Houston, Texas. And being a young man, we run around looking for sites and meet people and so forth.
Women.
Girls. Well, Bandera, Texas, which is about 50 miles west of San Antonio, Texas, is one of the places we used to like to go. And
is this because it has some sort of reputation?
Well, it was a dude ranch country around there. They had a number of dude ranches. People come from all over to spend a week or a weekend at dude ranch and ride horses and have fun. They And then the little town itself, the Bandera, a very small little town, but it had about 5 different taverns right there in the town, which was an attraction to us young men, you know.
Sure.
And of course, beer was the only thing served in those, only alcoholic beverage served in the town. And of course, we used to spend weekends up there quite a bit, you know. And there's where I met Alice.
In a bar?
Mm-mm.
No, in Bandera.
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen?
Was what Russell and I walked into town and went to a movie. And when I came out, why, I didn't see him, and so I just started walking home.
Yeah.
And when you and I don't know who else was in the car.
I can picture this car full of GIs whistling and carrying on.
No, there was other girls in there too.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I can't, I'm trying to remember. I wasn't in the car, was I?
Well,
I think you all came.
That's right. You weren't. It was somebody else and a girl I knew, and she was in there with the guy she knew, and she told him to stop and pick me up because she knew me, and then she took me home, and then they talked me into going back to town with.
Yeah.
That's when I met.
So you went back to town.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
And then I met him
Where'd you meet him?
in a bar.
Yeah, see, you did meet in a bar. I knew it.
A nightclub.
Just exactly how old were you at this time, Mom?
Nightclub.
I don't know which one it was. Stroud's Dude Bar or one of those White Kitchen or one of
Yeah.
those places.
Yeah, one of them.
I don't remember.
How old were you at this time, Mom?
Oh, I don't know. Probably about 16.
16?
Mhm.
Well, maybe there wasn't a drinking age back then, right?
Well, I didn't do a lot of drinking back then.
You just hung around the bars
Right.
with your girlfriends?
I didn't go unless I didn't go by myself into those bars.
He's got a pride.
Well, just
It's none of your business.
so you go all the way out to Bandera, and then you meet Mom. And what did you get together after that then?
Well, I used to go up there, and the next time I went up there, I went to their house and met her parents. I don't guess you knew I was coming, did you?
Didn't, because when I answered the door, I couldn't remember who you were.
Anyway, she had to go get dressed, and I had to go in and talk to Mom and Dad there for 30 minutes or so while she was getting dressed. Had to be on my better behavior and
Right.
so forth. And
Were you in uniform? Did you go out in uniform?
no, I think I had a suit on.
Can't remember. It's been
It
so
was
long ago.
wintertime.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, that time you didn't have a suit on. You didn't have to wear
we
uniform all the time then.
went together a number of times there. I don't know how you was there for a year or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then they moved to Corpus Christi, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sent from Fort Sam Houston, Texas to Camp Shelby, Mississippi on the cadre to activate the 85th Infantry Division. And that was in March of 1942.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get back to Texas until November of 1942. I came back on a 15-day leave.